My name is Nadia Reeves. I am 31 years old. And the morning my first restaurant opened its doors, I was standing in the kitchen at 5:47 a.m. doing what I had been doing for 11 years. Checking every station, every knife, every mise en place. The way my first mentor taught me when I was 19, and nobody in my family believed that counted as a real job. The restaurant was called Birchwood. 112 seats. A menu I had written by hand 14 times before I printed a single copy. The reservation list for opening night had been full for 3 weeks. My father did not have a reservation. My uncle did not have a reservation. But before I tell you why, I need to take you back 11 years. To a Sunday dinner table in Denton, Texas. To a 20-year-old girl being laughed at by the man who was supposed to believe in her first. Before we go further, if you are watching this right now, drop your city in the comments. Just your city. I read every single one. And if this story speaks to you, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Now, back to that table. I grew up in Denton, Texas. Not small, not large. The kind of city where ambition is tolerated in men and explained away in women. My father, Raymond Reeves, sold insurance. He was good at it, precise, persuasive, the kind of man who could make a spreadsheet feel like a conversation. He provided for us. He showed up. He loved us in the efficient, structured way of a man who had decided that stability was the same thing as love and never questioned that decision. My mother, Carol, taught elementary school for 22 years. She was warm. She was tired. She kept a garden in the backyard that she tended every morning before the school bus came and every evening after dinner, and I think the garden was the only thing in her life that asked nothing of her in return. I was the middle of 3 children. My older brother Marcus had gone into finance. My younger sister Danielle was pre-med. Both of them had chosen paths my father understood. Paths with titles, with salaries, with a clear line between effort and outcome. I wanted to cook. Not as a hobby. Not as something to fall back on. I wanted to cook the way some people want to breathe, with the specific, unignorable urgency of something that was never a choice. I had known since I was 11. That was the year my grandmother, my mother's mother, Nana B., taught me to make her brisket. 6 hours. Low heat. A rub she had been adjusting since 1974. She stood beside me the entire time, not doing it for me, just watching and correcting with the patience of someone who understood that the only way to learn a thing was to do it wrong several times first. "You feel that," she said when I lifted the lid at hour 4. I felt it. The smell. The way the fat had rendered. The way the meat had stopped fighting the heat and started cooperating with it. "That's not cooking," she said. "That's listening." I never forgot that. By 16, I was cooking dinner 3 nights a week. By 18, I had read every cookbook in the Denton Public Library and ordered more from the internet with babysitting money. By the time I graduated high school, I knew exactly what I wanted. Culinary school in New York, 2 years, then stages in real kitchens, then my own place. Someday. With patience. I told my father at a Sunday dinner in June. The whole family was there. My Uncle Gerald, my father's younger brother, the one who had opinions about everything and had earned the right to none of them, was visiting from Houston. I laid it out clearly. The school. The program. The plan. My father listened with the expression he used for things he had already decided were wrong. My Uncle Gerald laughed. Not a small laugh. A full, table-wide laugh that assumed the room would join him. "A cook," he said. "You want to pay New York prices to learn how to be a cook." "A chef," I said. He waved his hand. The gesture of a man for whom the distinction did not exist. "Nadia." He looked at my father, then back at me. "Let me tell you something. I have watched 100 kids with big dreams and a low tolerance for real work. You know what they all have in common. I waited. They all thought passion was the same thing as a plan. He picked up his fork. You'll never make it in a kitchen that matters, he said. I'm telling you that now so someone does. He said it the way people say things they believe are kindness, with the comfortable authority of a man who had never been wrong about anything because he had never tried anything that could fail. My father said nothing. That silence was its own sentence. I looked at my mother. She was looking at her plate. I looked at my uncle. He was already eating. I put my napkin on the table, stood up, looked at my Uncle Gerald with the specific clarity of a person who has just been handed something they did not ask for but will use. Thank you, I said. I'll remember that. I went to my room, opened my laptop, finished my application to the Culinary Institute of America. I submitted it at 11:47 p.m. I was accepted 4 months later. I did not tell my uncle. I did not tell my father until the day I left. New York was not what I expected. It was harder and louder and more expensive and more alive than anything I had imagined from Denton, Texas, and I loved it with the specific love of someone who has finally arrived somewhere they were always supposed to be. Culinary school was not glamorous. It was 5 a.m. starts and knife cuts and sauces broken and rebuilt and a chef instructor named Dominic Ferrara who told me on my third day that I had good instincts and terrible technique, and that the second problem was fixable and the first one was not teachable, and I should understand what that meant. I understood. I fixed the technique. I graduated in the top 8% of my class. I staged at a 2-Michelin-star restaurant in Manhattan for 14 months, unpaid the first 4, near minimum wage after that, hours that would have broken anyone who wasn't certain. I staged in Lyon for 6 months. I came back. I worked my way up to sous chef at a respected new American restaurant in Brooklyn by the time I was 26. I called home irregularly. My mother and I talked about her garden and my life in careful parallel, close enough to feel like connection, distant enough to avoid the things neither of us wanted to say. My father and I spoke 4 or 5 times a year. Cordial. Careful. The conversations of two people who had agreed, without saying so, to keep the relationship small enough that it could not break. My Uncle Gerald I did not call at all. He called me once, the Christmas I was 23. Asked how the cooking thing was going. I said it was going well. He said that was good. That was the last time we spoke for 4 years. When I was 27, a woman named Priya Anand came into the restaurant on a Tuesday night and ordered the duck. She was a restaurateur, 3 places in the city, 1 in Chicago, a reputation for finding young chefs before anyone else did and giving them the kind of opportunity that only comes once. She asked to speak to the person who made the duck. That was me. We talked for 40 minutes at the end of service. She asked questions the way people ask questions when they already know the answers and are checking whether you do too. 2 weeks later she called and offered me a partnership. A new space. Lower Manhattan. Concept. Menu. Kitchen. Mine. 40% ownership. Her capital. Her operational infrastructure. My food. I sat with the offer for 3 days. I called my mother. Do it, she said. Before I had finished explaining. Mom. Nadia. Do it. I called Priya on a Thursday morning and said yes. It took 14 months to build. I wrote the menu by hand 14 times. I sourced every supplier personally. I hired a team of 8 and learned each of their names before I learned their job titles because Nana B had taught me that the people who cook beside you are not a function, they are the kitchen. I named it Birchwood, for the birch trees at the edge of Nana Bea's property in East Texas, where I had eaten the best brisket of my life at age 11 and understood for the first time what it meant to listen. We opened on a Thursday in October. The reservation list had been full for 3 weeks. The review came out 11 days later. A critic I respected enormously, one of the 3 food writers in the city whose words still moved tables, wrote 9 paragraphs. The last line read, "Birchwood is not a debut. It is an arrival." I read it 4 times, sitting on the floor of my apartment at 2 in the morning. Then I called my mother. She cried. I did not. I had done my crying earlier, privately, over a broken sauce in 2019 and a terrible stage review in Lyon and a night in Brooklyn when the restaurant lost power and we served 90 covers by candlelight, and I went home afterward and sat in the bathtub fully clothed because I had nothing left. I had spent my tears in the right places. This moment did not need them. My father called 2 days after the review. He had read it. Someone had sent it to him. I did not ask who. I read the piece, he said. I know, I said. A pause. It's a good review, he said. Yes, I said. It is. Another pause. Longer. I didn't say anything, he said. That night, when Gerald said what he said. No, I said. You didn't. I should have. I let that sit. Yes, I said. You should have. He cleared his throat. I'd like to come see it. The restaurant. If you'd want that. I'll put you on the list, I said. And I meant it. But he was going to wait like everyone else. My Uncle Gerald came to Birchwood on a Saturday night in February. I did not invite him. He called my father, who mentioned the restaurant, who gave him the number. He made a reservation under a different name. I found out later it was his wife's maiden name, and I did not know he was coming until my front-of-house manager, a precise and observant woman named Simone, came to the kitchen pass at 8:15 and said quietly, "Table 9. The man says he's your uncle." I finished plating the dish in front of me, set it in the pass, wiped my hands, walked out. He looked older. 11 years does that. He was sitting with his wife, Karen, a woman I had always liked in spite of everything, and 2 people I didn't recognize. The table had ordered well. I noticed that without meaning to. It is a reflex after enough years in a kitchen. He saw me coming and straightened in his chair. Something moved across his face that I had not seen there before. I stood at the edge of the table. "Nadia," he said. "Uncle Gerald," I said. A pause. "This place is something," he said. His voice had a quality I did not immediately recognize, and then did. It was careful. He was being careful with me. He had not been careful with me the last time we were at a table together. "Thank you," I said. "I mean it," he said. "The food." He stopped. Started again. "I had the halibut. I don't usually eat fish. Karen made me order it." He glanced at his wife. "It was the best thing I've eaten in years." I looked at him for a moment. "I'll tell the fish that," I said. Karen laughed. Genuine. Warm. Gerald did not laugh. He was still being careful. "I said something," he said. "Years ago. At your father's table. I said something I had no business saying. I waited. I was wrong," he said. "I want you to know that I know that." The table was quiet. "I know," I said. I did not say it was fine. It had not been fine. A 20-year-old girl had sat at a table and been told by a man with a full plate and no stakes that she would never succeed, and her father had said nothing, and she had carried that into every 5 a.m. start and every broken sauce and every underpaid stage for 11 years. It was not fine. It was fuel. But it was not fine. "Thank you for saying so," I said. That was all. I went back to my kitchen. He finished his meal. Left a generous tip. Simone told me later he sat for a moment after his wife and the other couple stood to leave. Just sat, looking at the room. Then he left. My father came the following month. Just him. He drove from Denton alone, 8 hours, arrived on a Friday afternoon. I had left a reservation in his name. He sat at the bar for the first seating and ate everything the kitchen sent. After service I sat across from him at a corner table with 2 glasses of water and the quiet of a restaurant that has just fed 100 people and earned its stillness. He looked around the room for a long time. "You built this," he said. "Yes," I said. "From the thing you said at dinner. At 20. From before that," I said. "From Nana Bea's kitchen. When I was 11. He nodded slowly. "I didn't say anything," he said again. "When Gerald laughed. I know, Dad. I've thought about it a lot," he said. "Why I didn't. I waited. I think I was afraid," he said, "that if I defended it, what you wanted, and it didn't work out, I'd have to carry that. So I said nothing. I told myself I was being neutral." He looked at his water glass. "I was being a coward," he said. It was the most honest thing my father had ever said to me. "Yes," I said quietly. "But you're here now." We sat for 2 more hours. He asked about every dish. He asked about Priya and the partnership. He asked about the team. Nobody had ever asked me about the team before. Not like that. Not with real interest in who they were. At the door, he turned back. "Your grandmother would have loved this place," he said. "I know," I said. "I built it for her, a little." He nodded, raised his hand. I raised mine back. I still open at 5:47 most mornings. Not because I have to. The sous chef handles the early prep now, a 24-year-old from Memphis named Deja who has the best palate I have encountered in 10 years of professional kitchens and a work ethic that reminds me of myself in a way that makes me want to be a better teacher. I come in early because the kitchen at 5:47 is the most honest room I know. Quiet. Cold. Everything in its place. The day's possibilities still intact. I stand at the pass and think about a Sunday dinner table in Denton. About a man who laughed and a father who said nothing and a girl who stood up, put her napkin down, and went to her room and finished her application. She did not fight back. She did not beg. She built something. And then she made sure it was good enough that the people who doubted her had to come and sit in it and eat her food and understand, with every single bite, exactly what they had underestimated. My name is Nadia Reeves. I am 31 years old. My uncle told me I would never succeed in a kitchen that matters. My father said nothing. And for 11 years I carried that into every hard morning and every long service and every moment when it would have been easier to believe them. I did not believe them. I built Birchwood instead. If you are watching this and someone has laughed at your dream, someone with a full plate and nothing at stake, I want you to hear this. You do not need their permission. You do not need their apology. You do not even need them to be wrong out loud. You just need to keep going until the work speaks for itself. And then you set a table. And you let them come and sit in what you built. And you go back to your kitchen. Because that is where you were always supposed to be. If this story spoke to you, leave one word in the comments. Just one. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. The next one is already waiting.